හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Thursday, the 7th of March 2024. A sea of blood. Iran-backed militant group, the Houthis, launch a first fatal attack on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. At least 3 crew members killed, while 2 Sri Lankans rescued. Stamp of approval. IMF commences Sri Lanka's second extended fund facility review. Sri Lanka awaits to secure $330 million if successfully completed. Full steam ahead. China's Sinopec refinery and Sampur's coal power plant projects to be finalized this year, the government confirms. And on the reform trail, Sri Lankan government to divest shares in Sri Lanka Insurance.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Ada Derana First at 9 with Indivari Amuata and Mahesh Jani. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to First at 9, where we bring you the latest from here at home, all around the world. And today, it's very important because, as we always say, prior to that, very good evening. Very,
Hello.
very good evening.
And a very warm welcome to all of you joining us from home or on mobile. Good evening, Mahesh.
Good evening. No, I was very much reading the first story that we have to bring to our viewers with regard to the situation that is happening in the Red Sea. Sri Lanka is also now being dragged into this entire incident where
with the crew members.
Exactly. We want to bring that story to you, but prior to that, we want to update you our rundown. There are lots of stories with regard to, well, the Power and Energy Minister Kanchan Wijesekara says that if the tariffs has been reduced, then it should go to the public.
The benefits should be passed down. I suppose this is what the people have been demanding and asking for too. With the uncertainties in the global markets, of course, we saw price fluctuations in Sri Lanka, but at the same time, Sri Lanka's economic crisis is still deep in its roots.
Exactly. And also with regard to, what do you call, the oil prices again seems to be fluctuating as well. Now, will the incidents in the Red Sea impact it?
I wonder whether this will be used as a tool to to impact or maybe shift oil prices. But we hope that the pricing formula will stand an advantage to the people, so that the prices, we just saw a revision anyway. We will be seeing the next review periodically. Plus the Red Sea area, I think the vessel has been evacuated after the attack.
So we want to bring that story to you right now. Now, the Gulf of Aden was stained in blood today as the Houthi rebels made their first fatal attack on a Barbados-flagged vessel, killing 3 seafarers, 2 Filipinos and a Vietnamese, and injuring several others.
Now, at the time of the attack, 12 crew members, or rather 20 crew members, and 3 armed guards were on board, which included 2 Sri Lankans, an Indian and a Nepali national.
According to the Houthis, the attack was launched as the vessel had ignored their orders.
Now, the Iran-backed militant group took on the attack. India, which deployed one of its naval warships, rescued the crew members and evacuated them to Djibouti.
Sri Lanka Navy meanwhile confirmed that 2 Sri Lankans, one with injuries, are among the members rescued by the Indian warship.
On the 19th of November, Iranian-backed Houthi militants who control swathes of Yemen landed a helicopter on the Galaxy Leader cargo vessel while it was passing through the southern Red Sea. The landing marked the first Houthi attack on a commercial vessel. The Houthis say that their attacks are launched to express support to the Hamas militant group currently at war with Israel in Gaza. Since then, the Houthis, with the use of an array of sophisticated weapons, including ballistic missiles and kamikaze drones, have made attacks on commercial vessels, and so far, it is reported that over 29 ships have been attacked in the area, with 13 of those suffering direct strikes from missiles or drones. The Belize flagged United Kingdom-owned cargo ship, which was carrying more than 41,000 tons of fertilizer, became the first to be sunk following an attack by the rebel group. The attacks have caused major disruptions to global trade, some 12% of which passes through the Red Sea. In January, it was reported that dollar revenues from Egypt's Suez Canal were down 40% from the beginning of the year compared to 2023 due to the attacks made by the Houthis. As a result, Houthis' militant activities in the Red Sea have incurred a military response from several countries. The United States, which assembled Operation Prosperity Guardian to protect the Red Sea shipping route, has bombed the Houthi-controlled parts of Yemen and attacked Houthi vessels in the Red Sea. Further, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said the Sri Lanka Navy too will be deployed to ensure freedom of navigation in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. However, despite global pressure, aggressive Houthi rebels continued their attacks, with the latest taking place yesterday in the Gulf of Aden. 2 anti-ballistic missiles fired by the Iranian-backed militants hit Liberian-owned Barbados-flagged vessel MV True Confidence approximately 93 kilometers off the coast of Yemen's port of Aden, setting ablaze the vessel, which had 20 crew members and 3 armed guards. The crew included 15 Filipinos, 4 Vietnamese, 2 Sri Lankans, an Indian and a Nepali national. Tragically, 2 Filipinos and a Vietnamese seafarer lost their lives in the attack, making them the first fatalities since the Houthis launched their aggressive campaign in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden.
The Houthis have continued to launch these reckless attacks with no regard for the well-being of innocent civilians who are transiting through the Red Sea, and now they have unfortunately and tragically killed innocent civilians. The United States will continue to hold the Houthis accountable for their attacks, which have not just disrupted international commerce, not just disrupted the freedom of navigation in international waters, and not just endangered seafarers, but now tragically killed a number of them. So we will continue to hold them accountable, and we call on governments around the world to do the same.
According to the Houthis, the vessel was attacked for not following Houthi orders.
The naval forces of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a targeting operation against the American ship True Confidence in the Gulf of Aden with several naval missiles. The targeting operation came after the ship's crew ignored warning messages from the Yemeni naval forces.
Following the incident, the Indian warship INS Kolkata, which was deployed for maritime security operations, arrived at the scene and rescued 21 crew members from a life raft using its integral helicopter and boats. The rescued crew, including the critically injured, was evacuated to Djibouti yesterday.
While we were going, we sent a helicopter. The helicopter found the crew in the life raft. Then we used the helicopter and we pull up 8 people. Then we send our boat because some people are very injured, so they cannot come by helicopter. So we sent 2 boats and we put the boat and brought them to the ship.
Tragically, 3 crew members lost their lives in the attack. Additionally, 2 Sri Lankan crew members were aboard the ship and one of them sustained injuries. The Indian Navy ship INS Kolkata rescued 21 crew members, including the 2 Sri Lankans, and took them to Djibouti.
Upon inquiry, Minister of Foreign Affairs, President's Counsel Ali Sabri says that the ministry is taking necessary steps to secure the 2 Sri Lankans aboard the attacked vessel.
New Dulux Pentolite Hygiene Plus. Refreshing walls for generations.
The International Monetary Fund Senior Mission Chief for Sri Lanka, Peter Brewer, says Sri Lanka's IMF program is translating into real outcomes and commended the Sri Lankan authorities for the swift implementation of the program.
He stated this during a meeting held today between President Ranil Wickremesinghe and the visiting IMF team at the Finance Ministry.
Now, this meeting was a precursor to the IMF's second review of the Extended Fund Facility program, which promises over $380 million in this review if successfully completed.
The IMF commenced the second review of the $2.9 billion Extended Fund Facility program today, which will disburse the third tranche of the program amounting to around $330 million. Sri Lanka received the first tranche of the loan in March 2023 after the Executive Board approved the 48-month EFF program. The IMF Executive Board cleared this first review of Sri Lanka's bailout package in December last year, providing approximately $337 million in funds as the second tranche. Commenting on the commencement of the review, State Minister of Finance Chehan Semasinga said he expects to conclude a successful review and reach staff-level agreement which will pave the way to access the third tranche. He said that the release of the tranche will accelerate the growth trajectory of the country, fostering increased confidence in the economy.
Well, Kajimawatha in Colombo has been at the epicenter of national attention in the recent past over its woes with homelessness and the unfortunate consequences of destituteness.
Now, to address this persistent issue in Kajimawatha, President Ranil Wickremesinghe called on relevant authorities to implement a project to provide housing facilities to the homeless in the area, keeping within the parameters set by the government's housing policy. He also went on to instruct officials to examine underutilized state-owned buildings and lands within the Colombo municipal area and to explore potential development and utilization of those spaces for commercial purposes.
Now, President Wickremesinghe further urged authorities to join hands with the private sector for the projects and highlighted that private investments could be used for this purpose.
A meeting regarding homelessness in Kajimawatha, Colombo took place at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday afternoon under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The President's office reported that officials were given directives by President Wickremesinghe to take necessary steps to provide housing to all homeless families in Kajimawatha. President Wickremesinghe emphasized that this initiative must adhere to the government's housing policies and criteria. Officials were also instructed to examine underutilized government-owned buildings and lands within the Colombo municipal area, exploring the potential for development and utilization for commercial purposes. Further, President Wickremesinghe underscored the significance of implementing the program through private investments in collaboration with the public sector. According to the President's office, the President reviewed the advancement of government housing projects underway within the Colombo city limits, emphasizing the necessity for additional initiatives. President Wickremesinghe went on to highlight the importance of devising a suitable system for further housing projects.
Well, despite the recent reduction in electricity tariff earlier this week, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchan Wijesekara claims that several consumer-related organizations are planning to benefit off the tariff reduction without passing the relief to the general public.
Now, joining a media briefing today, the minister urged that the benefits of the tariff reduction be passed on to the general public accordingly.
Now, the minister went on to say that despite any elections scheduled this year, tariffs will be subjected to change according to local and global developments.
He also commented on the Sinopec refinery plantation and the coal power plant in Sampur in Trincomalee. The minister said discussions are still ongoing. However, the ministry hopes to finalize both projects within this year.
විදුලි මිල අඩුවීමට රජය විසින්නේ තීන්දුව ලබා දීලා තිබුණා.
Despite government directions to reduce the electricity tariff, we are concerned whether that benefit is being passed on to the general public. On Monday, we reduced the tariff. However, on Sunday, we saw associations, including the Canteen Owners Association, say that they would increase their prices. I think they tried to trick the public by increasing the prices the day before the tariff reduction and later on reducing that increased price, saying they decreased the prices of products following the tariff. That reduction is not sufficient in any way.
ඊට පසු දවසේ අඩු කරලා දැන් අපි අඩු කිරීමක්.
Whatever the elections may come, if there is a situation of no rain, a price hike in coal or fuel, then we will have to consider another tariff hike.
උමක් වුණත් අපිට නියන් තත්වයක් ගල් අඟුරු මිල වැඩිවීමක්, ඉන්ධන මිල වැඩිවීමක් සිදු වුණොත් නැවත අපිට වතාවක් ඊළඟ එන මිල සංශෝධනය ඒ පිළිබඳව සැලකිලිට ගන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා.
Could you please walk us through the progress on the Sinopec refinery?
We have already awarded the project to Sinopec refineries. So the team from the Ministry of Power and Energy and Sinopec, they are engaging in discussions with stakeholders to finalize the agreement, because there are other matters that they need to finalize maybe another couple of months. After the clarifications on the agreement have been reviewed, then we'll have to send it back to the Attorney General's office for his approval. So after that, they will enter into agreement to build and operate the refinery.
At an earlier press conference, you mentioned that Sampur might begin construction in March.
The power purchase agreement we are hoping to sign mid this year. The negotiations are ongoing on the modality. It's a joint venture between the CEB and the NTPC of India. So we are looking forward to signing the power purchase agreement and then maybe begin the construction work immediately after that. But there needs to be some infrastructure development, also some transmission lines and the grid substation development. We are in discussions with AIIB to finance part of it. So once the finances are ready, once the power purchase agreements are ready, then the groundbreaking will take place.
Moving on to other local news, several areas of Sri Lanka, including the Western Province, experienced hot weather in recent days. Similarly, today, the general public in many areas of Sri Lanka experienced scorching temperatures. Taking the prevailing hot weather into consideration, the Department of Meteorology issued a heat advisory stating that temperatures are expected to rise up to caution level throughout tomorrow. Caution level indicates temperatures between 39 degrees to 49 degrees as per the Department of Meteorology. The heat advisory was issued to the northwestern and southern provinces as well as the Ratnapura, Anuradhapura, Mana, Vaunia and Mullaitivu districts. Officials of the Met Department went on to once again urge the general public to take necessary measures to avoid any adverse effects of the prevailing hot weather on their bodies. The Met Department highlighted that it is crucial to remain hydrated and to also check up on the elderly, the sick, the vulnerable and the children.
In other local stories we have for you tonight, 20 Peace Corps volunteers from the United States were sworn in yesterday, marking the 25th group of Peace Corps volunteers to serve in Sri Lanka since 1998. The volunteers, who had a 3-month training in language, culture and effective engagement within Sri Lankan schools, will serve as English teachers in the country. The volunteers will work alongside their Sri Lankan counterparts, including English teachers and principals, to deliver English language instructions to Sri Lankan school children.
Peace Corps volunteers from the United States were sworn in yesterday, marking the 25th group of Peace Corps volunteers to be enlisted in Sri Lanka. The volunteers, who had a 3-month training within Sri Lankan schools, will serve as English teachers in the central and Uva provinces.
It is highly commendable that the Peace Corps is sustained by the volunteerism of women and men, most of whom are starting their careers. And it is an interaction which I believe lays the foundation for the continued shaping and reshaping of diplomatic relations between our countries. Because the character of a nation consists not only of its geography and climate, the origins and chronicles and the dominant culture in terms of flags and anthems and of course contemporary leaders in politics and so on, but also the caliber of its people and the connections made by those same peoples. Connections of the heart and the mind, and at the expense of human contact. What could be more real or more tangible or human than the Peace Corps experience?
Peace Corps volunteers bring a special vibrancy to any country. Your work together will have immense contributions to your students, your schools, to yourselves, and your country. Sri Lanka is America's friend and partner, and this is a relationship we truly cherish. Today, we benefit from the legacy of generations of Sri Lankans and Americans who have built and nurtured this profound friendship. Together, we have strengthened trade and commerce, collaborated to promote peace and security, all of those things that are important.
Normally in Sri Lanka, after 1962, all single students, they have to study their mother tongue, that is single language. And the Tamil students, in Tamil language. The Muslim students, they have the option of studying either in Sinhala or in Tamil. Last year, we started a program. We introduced a program that is oral English based on activities from grade 1. So we trained 14,000 teachers, the primary grade 1, and we successfully completed the first year. 2 days ago, we started the second program, that is for the year 2024. After training another 14,000 teachers, grade 2, we started the program. So next year, we have to upgrade the grade 3 syllabus in English.
Building world peace and friendship is not easy, but it is some of the most important work that we can be doing, especially right now. in this time of tremendous uncertainty around the world. We need to continue building on and strengthening the bonds of connection and shared purpose that are truly the foundation of a strong global community.
Taking you into some news in brief, the Sri Lankan Navy apprehended a 22-year-old youth with a stock of Kerala cannabis worth 1 million rupees street value in his possession. The arrest was made during a joint operation conducted by a naval deployment attached to the Northern Naval Command and the Police Special Task Force in Kilinochchi. Here's a look at other stories in brief.
A police officer was placed under arrest for aiding notorious criminal Nadun Chintaka alias Harakkata to escape custody. The apprehended police official was identified as a 36-year-old police sergeant attached to the Mathura Divisional Crimes Investigation Division. The Terrorism Investigation Division made the arrest yesterday for aiding and abetting the infamous criminal and covering up information vital to the ongoing investigations. In the meantime, the officer in charge of the Udaipur Police Crimes Division, who was arrested and subsequently suspended from service for allegedly assaulting a group of villagers on the 5th of March, was released on bail today. The suspect was released on bail after being presented to the Putla Magistrates Court. The remaining suspects had been placed under remand custody to be presented to a police lineup.
Business news now. The state-owned enterprise restructuring unit says that 5 bidders have been pre-qualified to request for proposals for the divestiture of government shares in Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation Life Limited and Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation General Limited. Now, after evaluations of the expression of interest, the Cabinet-appointed Special Project Committee and the Special Cabinet-appointed Negotiating Committee have pre-qualified 5 bidders. Accordingly, the Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation Life Limited, LIC Lanka Limited, Union Assurance PLC and R City Hospitals Holding PLC have been finalized. Meanwhile, the 2 bidders selected for the divestiture of Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation General Limited are Euro Exim Bank Limited and Fairfirst Insurance Limited. Sri Lanka said that Alvarez and Marshall will act as the transaction advisor for the divestiture of shares for the 2 state entities.
A fundamental rights petition has been filed before the Supreme Court challenging the Sri Lanka-Thai Free Trade Agreement. Now, the petitioners have requested the Supreme Court to deliver an order preventing the implementation of the Free Trade Agreement. A total of 27 individuals have been named as respondents in the petition, including the Attorney General on behalf of the President, the Prime Minister, the Cabinet of Ministers, Secretary to the Finance Ministry and Secretary to the Trade Ministry. Sri Lanka inked the historic trade agreement with Thailand during the visit of Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin and his delegation of business dignitaries in February. The 2 countries aim to boost market opportunities with the deal covering trade in goods, investment, customs, procedure and intellectual property rights. Thailand, the 37th exporting destination of Sri Lanka, holds significant economic importance with a GDP of $495 billion in 2022 and is one of the largest outward investors in the ASEAN region. Thailand bought over $92 million worth of FDI to Sri Lanka during the period from year 2005 to 2022.
Well, highlighting the importance of leadership in driving the country with democracy in the right direction, tax specialist N.R. Gajendran says political parties must be able to claim that their leaders are honest and that they possess integrity. Delivering the keynote address at the Shelton Veerasinghe oration organized by Wesley College, Colombo, Gajendran said that trustworthy leaders in the country should have honesty and critical intelligence.
The Shelton Veerasinghe oration of Wesley College, Colombo, organised as a part of the college's 150th anniversary celebrations this year, was held last evening at the college hall. The oration was delivered by tax specialist N.R. Gajendran, who is also a Wesley College alumnus.
The success, survival, sustenance and the growth of a democratic system depends on leaders who are ordinary people who are expected to perform extraordinary functions. And these leaders who are expected to perform extraordinary functions do not perform it, the democracy, it can be challenged and it can be questioned. So there are two distinct features, qualities, characteristics a leader we must have in our search for trustworthy leaders to be trusted. It is honesty. Second one is he must carry with him critical intelligence. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, our trusted leaders have not been trustworthy. We have trusted leaders and selected or elected them, they have not been trustworthy. That's the reason we are in the financial crisis. Just not one leader, multiple of them. But we have not found trustworthy leaders to be trusted. Have we found trustworthy leaders to be trusted? The multitude, the people should be judicious to recognize trustworthy leaders to be trusted. Place their trust and confidence on them. And these trustworthy leaders who have been elected or selected must demonstrate honesty and carry with them critical intelligence and fulfill their trust and confidence the people have placed on them. And if they don't fulfill it, we must hold them accountable. I pose a challenge to you. The political parties, when they nominate the candidates for the elections, they must make a pledge and state that to the best of their information and knowledge, the candidates are honest and they are men and women of integrity and they do not have any questionable circumstances.
Taking you to the Colombo Stock Exchange, the Bourse soared to new highs for a fifth consecutive day, closing at an impressive 11,046 points, making a gain of 164 points during today's session. The index was led by LOLC, Brown's Investment, JKH and LOLC Finance as they emerged as leading contributors, setting a bullish tone for the day. Notably, investor interest was picked by the retail savvy share, Lanka Milk Foods, likely fueled by speculation following the joint venture deal between India's Amul Dairy and Sri Lanka's state-owned dairy companies. Meanwhile, the market turnover hit a 4-week high at 2.6 billion rupees, 48.5% higher than the monthly average of 1.8 billion. Trades for the day surpassed 24,000 for the first time in nearly 6 months. Furthermore, the diversified financials and food, beverage and tobacco sectors jointly contributed 46% to market turnover, whilst foreign investors dominated as net sellers for the 7th consecutive day with a large appetite on John Keel's holdings. Rates for the day.
The United States Agency for International Development and the Women's Development Federation marked the successful culmination of the capacity building program on trade and market access for women entrepreneurs. According to USAID, this program stands as a significant milestone in empowering women-led and women-owned enterprise and driving socio-economic development in the region. Meanwhile, Hemas Hospitals unveiled a special initiative commemorating the International Women's Day termed Her March, which offers specially curated medical packages for women. Now with that, let's take a look at today's corporate news segment.
The United States Agency for International Development and the Women's Development Federation marked the successful culmination of the capacity building program on trade and market access for women entrepreneurs. During a ceremony held in Veeravilla, the program honored 40 resilient women entrepreneurs from Sri Lanka's southern districts, including Hambantota, Galle, Matara and Monaragala. These recognized women entrepreneurs have completed a year-long journey, during which they received training and mentorship from USAID and WTF, equipping them with essential skills to effectively manage their micro and small businesses. This program, supported by the United States, stands as a significant milestone in empowering women-led and women-owned enterprises and driving socio-economic development in the region. Commemorating International Women's Day, Hemas Hospitals unveiled Her March, an initiative dedicated to sparking discussions and action on women's wellness and the critical role of preventive healthcare. Through this initiative, underscoring patient-centric care, Hemas Hospitals introduces an array of specially curated packages for women. These comprehensive health assessments are provided at attractive prices and are available through various banks and a widely available digital healthcare platform for a limited time. Meanwhile, the Green Club of Selinco Life recently organized a beach cleanup with the participation of staff of the head office of Selinco Life and their families. The project led to a shocking collection of 732 kilograms of harmful pollutants and trash off a stretch of beach in Matakulia. The initiative was supported by the non-governmental organization Clean Ocean Force, which undertook the responsible disposal of the collected items, which included plastic containers and polythene. Ceylon Curry Club, part of the Citrus Group, had the honour of being selected as a caterer for arguably the most lavish pre-wedding event of our times, hosted by the Ambani family in Gujarat, India. A 13-member team from Citrus was originally slated to cater one lunch service and was also asked to cater for a second consecutive day due to the positive response received for the cuisine and service. Ceylon Curry Club is proud to have represented Sri Lanka at such a prestigious and talked about occasion, graced by a star-studded list of invitees, including celebrities and global business leaders.
State Minister for Urban Development and Housing Arundhika Fernando says Hilton Colombo is ready for private sector investment, with 4 businessmen already expressing interest. Addressing a media briefing today, the State Minister, however, said their levels of investment are yet to be announced.
කරපු චෝදනාවක් තමයි මේ ආයෝජන සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි සමහරක් ඒවා රජයේ සම්පත් විකුණනවායි කියලා. හැබැයි අදටත් ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ මතය තමයි අපි දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් දැන් මගේ යටතේ තියෙනවා කොළඹ හිල්ටන් හෝටලේ. දැන් හිල්ටන් හෝටලේට ආයෝජකයන් 4 දිනක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා, ෂෝට් ලිස්ට් වෙලා තියෙනවා 4 දිනක්. හැබැයි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් බිඩ් එකේ ඒගොල්ලෝ දාන ගාන තාම කවුරුවත් දන්නේ නැහැ. කවුරුත් දන්නා මේක ජාතික සම්පතක්. රජයට අයිති. මම මේ උදාහරණයකට ගත්තේ. එතකොට ඒකට හරියන ගණනක් ආවේ නැත්තම් ජනාධිපතිතුමා ඒ ආයතනේ විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Well, we have to leave you now before we wrap up. World news is coming up on the other side.
Exactly. Well, that's all the time we have for you on First at 9. I'm Mahesh Johnny.
And I'm Indivri Amortha. Good night.